Buying pre-construction real estate in Cancun or the Riviera Maya may seem like a great investment, but it can also become a financial nightmare. Many people interested in buying property in Mexico choose pre-construction because the price is lower than a finished property. But that discount exists for a reason. You are taking risk that many buyers don't fully understand. Today, I will answer a simple question: whether the risk of buying pre-construction property in Mexico. My name is Alberto Gutiérrez and I am a real estate lawyer based in Cancun. The first risk of buying pre-construction property is legal uncertainty. Even if you sign the contract, pay the price, and even receive the unit, you are not the legal owner. At least not until the deed is signed and registered in the public registry of property. In the state of Quintana Roo, where is Riviera Maya in Cancun, real estate ownership only is transferred through a public deed signed before notary and registered. If that do not happen, legally the property is not yours. It could even be affected if the developer has debts. The problem with the pre-construction is that the unit you're buying do not legally exist yet. The developer owns the land, and only after the building is finished can the developer create the condominium regime. Only then do the individual units legally exist. This is why buyers usually sign what is called a promise to purchase agreement. These contracts do not transfer ownership. It only obligates both parties to sign the deed in the future, and this legal issue becomes much more dangerous when combined with the next risk. The second risk is that the buyers carries all the financial risk of the project. In my experience handling real estate disputes, many projects that end in lawsuits start the same way. Buyers are asked to pay 60 to 90% of the property price before delivery. That means you have already paid a large amount of money without owning the property, and sometimes without the building even being finished. In many projects, the buyer's money is used to finance the construction. The problem appears when something goes wrong. For example, sales slow down, some buyers stop paying, the developer cannot obtain additional financing. When this happens, the project may run out of cash. And vicious cycle begins. They cannot finish construction because they do not have money, and they do not have money because the project is not finished. Without finishing the construction, they cannot transfer the ownership. And without transferring the ownership, they cannot collect the final payments. When this happens, conflict starts. Lawsuits, penalties, liens. Some projects end up stalled for years or become unable to get finished. Meanwhile, buyers are trapped without their money and without the property. That is why one of the most important questions when buying property in Mexico is how the project is being financed. If the project depends only on pre-sales, that can be a red flag. But if there is a construction bridge loan, the project has more financial support. The third risk is delays. When you buy pre-construction property, construction usually hasn't just started or not started at all. First, permits must be obtained, then the building must be constructed, and finally legal steps must be completed to create the condominium regime that allow the deeds to be signed. Each steps depend on the previous one, and in my experience, the timelines in the contracts are often too optimistic. Delays of 1 or even 2 years are common. Problems may appear in construction, financing, regulations. If you buy pre-construction property, you should be prepared for delays. If your plan depends on receiving the property on a specific date, pre-construction might not be the best option for you. The fourth risk is recovering your money if the developer fails to deliver. Many buyers believe that if the developer breaks the contract, they can simply request a refund. In reality, it's not that simple. Many developers do not return the money voluntarily, and legal actions become necessary. Even if you win a lawsuit, another problem may appear. The developer may not have enough assets. Some projects are developed through companies created only for a single project. That limits the assets available to respond to the buyers. That is why it's very important to research the developer track record. A developer with completed projects and real assets significantly reduce this risk. But even if everything we discussed today already sounds concerning, there is another problem that many buyers discover too late. The fifth risk is abusive clause in the contract. Many pre-construction contracts are written to protect the developer, not the buyer. Some clauses allow long delays, change to the project, penalties that are much harsher for the buyer than for the developer. That is why reviewing the contract carefully before signing is essential, and in many cases, it is possible to negotiate better terms. If you need help doing that, you can find the link to my website in the description. I also recommend watching another video where I explain the most common abusive clauses in pre-construction contracts.